Hey y'all, welcome back. I have something a little special for you guys today. Um, this is a move I created, and I like to call it the Dribble Peak, or more specifically, the Deceptive Dribble Peak, and a little bit of history about it. So, it came to be from the more like standard Dribble Peak, where you have someone select a card from a dribble, you ask them to take it, meanwhile you glimpse the bottom card of your top packet here, and when they replace their card here, you dribble their card, you dribble the cards back on top like that, and it basically becomes a key card. And I was wondering how to eliminate the key card aspect of it and find a way to just, peek their card. Obviously, if someone is selecting this card, you can't just look at it like that. So I came up with a way to glimpse it very subtly, and there's a whole bunch of subtleties that goes along with it. So let me show it to you real quick. So you can do it in the hands or on the table. So it'll go something like this. So you'll ask your spectator to say stop, like that. Dribble it back on top, and just like that, you already know it's the 3 of spades. And like I said, it can be done on the table, like so. And again, I believe it was the 10 of hearts. So this move will not be for everybody. Once I explain it, you'll see what I mean. You kind of have to get used to it a little bit, because you're glimpsing the card very, very fast, and a lot of times you're not seeing a very clear view of the card. Again, you'll see what I mean once I get to explaining it. So basically, prerequisites, obviously dribbling, which is this. If you don't know how to do that, really basic. Your 3 last fingers here, your index finger curled or straight on top, and your thumb at the back corner. What you're going to do is you want these fingertips to just barely go over the edge of the deck like that, and you're just going to riffle these cards off like so. And the more you do it, the smoother you'll get at it, until you'll do it one by one every time. So once you have a good dribble, let me expose the move to you real quick. Basically what is happening is the old glimpse, kind of like this. However, we're doing it very subtly. So this is the glimpse right here. And I already know that it is the ace of spades. I'll show you from the side really quickly here. It's gonna be like that. Again, there's the ace of spades. That's the glimpse just like that. And I'm not like tilting my head down a little bit. I'm keeping my head exactly in the same space, because obviously if we're like moving our head around, it's gonna be suspicious, like we're trying to, look at a card. So basically what is happening, we are dribbling the cards like so. And actually I should probably mention, we're dribbling kind of a specific way. So you're gonna be in the same position to dribble like so. However, you really want your thumb to be at the corner here, at this back corner. You don't want to dribble from back here. You really do want to dribble from that corner. It's gonna help you a lot in the glimpse. So let's take a look like this. So we're dribbling. Once we're here, basically what's gonna happen is as we stop, we're gonna move our thumb up just a tad until you can barely see that card. So it's gonna look something like that to you. And you can see you can barely see it, and it is the 7 of spades. And that is the glimpse. It happens super, super fast. Obviously we don't want any delay between us glimpsing the card and them being shown the card like that. Because obviously if we're like this, or sorry, if we're like this, that looks really bad. We want it to be immediate, so like that, and I already know 3 of clubs. So again, we're going to be dribbling, 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 and just like that, we're going to show, and then we're going to come back and dribble it all back on, just like that. And again, that was the 6 of clubs. So the reason that we dribble from the corners is because the index is at that corner. So we really want to be looking at this index because that's going to tell you the value and then the suit of the card. You sometimes will see like this portion of the card here, and that can help you differentiate, but a lot of the times it's, you know, too busy, especially if you're looking at a face card, trying to differentiate between like a jack and a queen, for example, both in clubs. You're literally peeking it in like a millisecond. So, you know, the actual like face of the card is not going to help you very much. So basically, the way to get used to it is just to do it. And then once you do it, like this is a Joker, for example, you'll just get used to what the cards look like really quickly. And obviously, if you've been dealing with cards and stuff like that, you would already, it would come to you a lot quicker because you're already used to looking at the cards. So, quick recap. We're going to dribble. Specifically, you want your thumb to be at that back corner to help you see the indices. You're going to dribble, 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 just like that. And again, we want to see just the tip of that. This is more likely what you're going to see here. And you can see that that is the Ace of Hearts. Now, obviously, like the Ace of Hearts and the Ace of Diamonds will be a little harder to differentiate between. However, if you know it's between one of 2 cards, you can easily figure out which one it is after the fact if you are unsure about, you know, which one it is, if it's 2 similar cards that you're stuck on. But back to the recap here. So we're going to be dribbling, 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 just like that. And then immediately after you glimpse it, you are showing it to them. And it's almost in the same move that you're glimpsing it and showing it to them. And I like to present it in a very specific way. So we're dribbling, we do our glimpse, and then I come down and do like this sweeping motion towards them. And this is just going to psychologically, when they backtrack, they're going to think that this was never, like the tilting back motion was never in their memory. It was this motion here. Like that is what they're going to remember. So on to some of the subtleties. After you've gotten used to the glimpse and, you know, you feel comfortable, you know, doing it, we'll talk about some subtleties. Now, we touched on the first one here, which was when we show the card, we want to do this like sweeping motion up to them. And again, that is so when they backtrack, they will not remember this moment of it. And also the fact that we're glimpsing it immediately and then pushing it out towards them. There's no break in between. They're not going to remember that moment where the cards were separated and you could see just a barely a glimpse of that card there. So that would be the first thing, is once you do it, specifically don't just raise it up like this. We want to push it towards them. And then when we come back, we do not want to come back like this and dribble. We want to come back and dribble from a flat position. So there's absolutely no way you can see that card. So demonstrate that again. We did our glimpse, push it out, and then we immediately start dribbling. So there is no way that they can possibly backtrack and say, oh, when you put it back onto, or when you dribbled it back onto the deck, that's when he glimpsed the card. Now, obviously, the great thing about this is, and I fooled a lot of other magicians with this, because it is just so obvious that like the method is so obvious that it's they suspect it the least when they backtrack. And it's amazing because you can do your thing, you do your dribble, you do it, and then you immediately say, go ahead and shuffle. And that completely disarms them because their first mind is most likely key card, which if they think about it a little bit more, you couldn't really get a key card unless it's a marked deck and then you saw this marking here. But that is completely thrown off when you just immediately hand out the shuffle, which you can do obviously because you know the identity of the card, and then anytime later you could find that card in a multitude of ways. So anyway, back to the subtleties. So we've covered the immediately show it. We've covered how to show it with the sweeping motion here. We've covered how to replace it, which is to immediately start dribbling back once they've looked at it. Now we're going to cover our head movement and our eye movement when we're glimpsing the card. This is very, very important because this is going to be what they remember. So, for example, if I did the whole thing and I was staring at the cards the whole time, obviously that's going to be their explanation, is that you glimpse the card. So when we're dribbling, it is okay for us, it is acceptable for us to be looking at the cards because we're focusing on the dribble that we're doing. Now, this lends a hand to us because we already know how long it takes for us to glimpse the card, a millisecond. So once we do our dribble, once we're here, we do our glimpse, 3 of hearts, and then we do this. And as we're doing this, we're going to turn our head away. Now, I know you can't see my head, but I'm turning it away. We're going to turn it away. Now, obviously, we don't want to turn it away extremely dramatically and make a huge show out of, you know, not looking. And we also do not want to say, I'm not going to look at the card, or I'm not looking, or I'm going to close my eyes. We don't want to say that because it's going to reiterate the fact that we are looking. And I know we're not looking at in that moment, however, we did just look at the card. So that's just a pro tip in general. We don't want to get into the habit of saying stuff like, da 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 da, pick any card here, and then we turn away and say, now I'm not going to look at the card as you turn your head away. Because when you turn your head away, it's already obvious that you're not looking at the card. So why overprove stuff that is already obvious, if that makes sense? When they backtrack, they're going to remember you saying, now I wasn't looking, or I'm not going to look, and that's going to lead them to their explanation, which is you looked. Even if that's not obviously what you did, we don't want to have that as an avenue when they do backtrack that trick, because every time the moment of magic is over, everybody's going to backtrack, and we don't want them to come up with an explanation of, you know, oh, he is good with his hands, or he just looked at it when I wasn't looking, or something like that. So we're looking at the cards as we're dribbling, like so. Once we get our glimpse, which is instant, as soon as we get our glimpse and we start doing this, we're gonna look away. Now, like I said before, we're not gonna make a big show. We're just gonna look away enough that it's obvious, but not, you know, outrageously out there, if that makes sense. So we're gonna do this, we're gonna look away, we did our glimpse, we know it's the 10 of spades. Now, when we replace it, we're gonna still look away. We're not gonna look as we replace it. Because, again, that's gonna eliminate the fact that, oh, he looked at it when he was placing it on the deck. Because if we're honest, a lot of the times when we come back to replace it, this can look like we're looking at it. And I mean, I can see it even better than the glimpse right now before I went to replace it. So we're just not gonna look back until all the cards are down, like so. Now I can look back. However, I love to just immediately go ahead and shuffle. That just seems super, super fair. So we do our thing, we're looking, we look away, did our glimpse already, we know it's the Jack of Diamonds. We're still looking away, we're still looking away. Go ahead and shuffle. Now, obviously, if you miss your glimpse, if you miss your glimpse the first time, because of the way that this is working, you can glimpse it as you're replacing it as a last resort. And basically, you're going to be doing the reverse of the original glimpse, if that makes sense. So we're here, you miss your glimpse, you're just gonna, as you bend the cards like this to dribble the rest, you're just gonna quickly get your glimpse. So it's gonna look like this. And let's do this, we're gonna get your glimpse, just like that, as you're, dribbling the cards back on, and then we know it's the 9 of diamonds. So that's absolutely a last resort, because, as we know, that's probably where their first or second explanation is going to come from, is when he replaced the cards. That's why I want to make a show, or not make a show, but make a point of turning our heads away. And again, we don't want to say we're turning or we're not looking or anything like that. We just want to do it because that's what they're going to remember when they backtrack psychologically. So I think that is everything on that move. Let me know what you guys think of it. And if you guys have any variations or any new subtleties that you guys, like to do with the move, please let me know in the comments down below. And let me know what you guys have used it for. Yeah. Bye, guys. Happy practicing.